that I'm all dressed up, ready for 4th of July, I guess. I have my red shirt with my fireworks and turkey legs and pizza and ice cream cones and my blue pants and my white shoes. And I just now realized as I'm sitting here that I am all dressed up for 4th of July. But in the last few weeks, I've been traveling some for work and just real busy. And in the aftermath of being real busy, it's always good for me to sit down and have a little bit of time to reflect. And one of the things that keeps coming to the surface as I'm reflecting and thinking back over the last few weeks is this idea that certainty isn't the same thing as clarity. And I am a person that has lots of opinions and lots of thoughts and lots of ideas and uh, and if I'm not careful, all those thoughts and opinions and ideas get get selfish, can get solid, can turn into something that they're not. And instead, what I want them to be is I don't want to be certain. I want to be curious. I want to approach all these things with curiosity. I want to approach the things that I'm really certain of with curiosity because whenever I approach them with curiosity, the best version of me somehow surfaces. And when I show up really certain, then I miss things because I've already made the decision. And it reminds me of years ago, um, before I would meet with clients, I would talk to them on the phone, I'd talk to them via email. And then whenever we would set up our first meeting, and this was in the days that in-person meetings were a thing, not just Zoom calls. But the last thing I would tell them in my email is, for example, look for me, I'll be the kind of red shirt. And at one point I was walking around the coffee shop that I was working out of, and I said, I'll be the guy in a red shirt. And my friend who was sitting there with me looked at me real funny and he said, well, why'd you just tell him that? I was like, well, so they can recognize me when they walk in the room. And he said, why don't you just tell them that you'll be the tallest guy in the room? And that just made way too much sense. And it made way too much sense. And the reason that I'd missed it is because I was so close that I didn't realize the most obvious thing. The most obvious thing, I was trying to figure out an answer instead of just saying what was obviously true. Because as soon as I said, I'll be the tallest guy in the room, when I'm sitting there in the coffee shop, when I'm sitting there in the restaurant or where it is that I'm meeting them, and somebody walks in the room and I think that's probably my meeting, I'll just stand up. When I stand up, if they walk towards me, a lot of times they'll smile or wave. They'll immediately know that I'm the person that they're meeting, or I'll stand up and there's no response at all. I know that's not my meeting. All I have to do to trigger recognition is just stand up and be what I am. They're not looking for the red shirt. They're looking for the tallest guy in the room. And as soon as they walk up, that's the opening of the conversation. Oh man, whenever you told me that you're going to be the tallest guy, I didn't realize, or whatever version of that is. But that was the entry point for the conversation. And all of a sudden, all that became easier. All of a sudden, that became a lot more natural. All of a sudden, that became obvious. And I'd been close to myself for so long that I couldn't see the most obvious true thing about me. I couldn't see it. I was certain. I knew what I thought the answer was until somebody outside of the situation was able to point at it and identify something that hadn't even crossed my mind. And as an adult, heck, as teenagers, my 16-year-old's right about everything. Everything. And the amount of things that he is confidently incorrect about just boggles my mind. And sometimes I just have to let him be. But as we're adults and as we mature and as we grow, there's kind of two paths for how we grow. We either get certain or we get curious. I, I want the latter. I want to be somebody that is willing to ask questions about myself and about everything out there for the sake of learning more and doing better and being better. That's where I want to land. Because honestly, the people that I know, the entrepreneurs that I know, the friends that I know, the humans that I know that are the best versions of humans all share that trait. It's not that they know everything, it's that they're willing to consider. Several years ago, I met a guy that he's a physician. He's been a physician for a long time, 20 plus years, working in the ER. established, winning by every measure, winning. And we sat down and we had a conversation. I asked him to tell me more about what he does. And I listened for 45 minutes and I kind of got an idea of what it was that he does, but I couldn't really sum it up. Couldn't really say it. So I couldn't tell you in a sentence after 45 minutes of talking to him what he actually did. And the truth is, neither could he. Because again, he was too close to it. It's not that he's not smart enough. He's plenty smart, plenty intelligent, plenty thoughtful, plenty insightful. But whenever we get too close to it, it's hard for us to see it. So I told him, I said, here's what I think we need to do. Let's sit you down and I want to get you, my goal is to get you on your soapbox. Because the truth is, he's somebody that really deeply cares about what he's doing, deeply cares about it. And in deeply caring about it, if I can get him on a soapbox, gold is going to come out of his mouth. He's going to say something beautiful. Because when you find those people that love what they do, that care deeply about it, it's not a matter of telling them what to say. It's just a matter of unlocking what's inside of them. We just want to unlock what's inside of them. So I said, I'm going to get you on your soapbox. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions and we're just going to record it. And whenever we record it, just start talking. Are you sure? Do we need to have a script? Do we need to have, no, we don't need a script. You don't need me to tell you what to say. Just want to get you on your soapbox, let you say what you care about. So we sat down, we had this conversation, camera 1, camera 2, lights overhead. I'm sitting in the chair over there asking him questions. And I asked him questions. We talked for about 45 more minutes. And then I asked him something. And honestly, to this day, I don't remember what I asked him. But I asked him a question and he just got thoughtful for a second. He said, everyone wants to live 120 years. Most live 70 or 80 years. And the ending's not good. And at the end of the day, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. And as soon as he said that, the lights went off in my head. I knew that was the thing. And I let him kind of finish his thoughts. And as soon as he finished his thoughts, we stopped the camera for a second. I was like, that's it. That's the thing. Every time you have a conversation with a client, with a colleague, with anybody that's wondering what you do, that's the line. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better. And if we can land inside of that, because that sums it up so clearly. What he does is a hard thing to describe, but all of a sudden I knew just in that thing because there was recognition there. He already knew the answer. He just hadn't heard himself say it yet. Fast forward 4 years in the future, we sat down and we had another conversation because business had grown, things were moving faster. He was having success. And in the middle of all that, we started to notice that more and more companies like his were using his language. They're using the words that he used. So we sat down and we started brainstorming and talking about what it is what's the next chapter? What's the next installation of that thought? And the thing that we landed on is, what would you do with 10 more healthy years? That was the thing, because that's the thing that we all want. We want 10 more healthy years. We don't want to survive. We don't want to scrape by. We want 10 more healthy years. And it was a continuation of the very first thought. And that very first thought was born from that curiosity, because he, as a doctor, as an intensely educated individual, could have decided and been really certain about what the answer was. And he could have missed it entirely. But instead, he was willing to do the exercise and to do the things to surface that truth. He stayed curious. And I want to stay there. Like, I'm talking about their stories, talking about the stories of people that I know and the things that I've seen. And all along the way, I'm reminded that I want to stay there. And I know what a struggle it is to stay there, because I want answers. I want to have things carved in stone so that I know what's right and wrong. And the world moves at such a speed and pace that I have to sometimes realize that I don't know the answer. I have to sometimes remember that I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do in my business, that I don't know exactly what to do with my kids, that I don't know exactly what to do in just life. And instead of getting frustrated or discouraged, I have to default back to curiosity. what if? I have to default back to just acknowledging that I don't have all the answers, that I don't know it all. And damn it, I want to know it all. I want to, but that's not where the best version of me is born from. The best version of me is born from what if. The best version of me is not born from angry uncertainty. The best version of me is born from curiosity. I got a phone call several months ago to sit down with a group of founders and entrepreneurs. And they had this accelerator group where they all got together and they were inviting me in basically to, I just called it founder speed dating. It's really what it sounded like to me. And what they wanted me to do was to come in and sit in on their founders group. And then I was going to get to meet each of those 15 founders for 15 minutes. And the goal was for me to pitch what I do to each of these founders in immediate succession. And as soon as I heard that, I realized how much that's not what I am. This is not what I am. I don't want to sit here and give them an answer based on knowing nothing about them. That just seemed ludicrous to me. So I had an opportunity in that moment to either kind of brush all that off and just pitch and hopefully get some clients out of the thing, or instead, and this is the thing that I decided to do, instead of pitching for 15 minutes, when each of them sat down, I just said, tell me about your business. Tell me about your company. Tell me about what you do. And I'll listen to them for 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes, if there are things that kind of surface, I'll give them feedback. But at the end of the day, I'm not pitching. And I knew as soon as I decided that I'm going to get no clients out of this work. For all intents and purposes, I wasted all of those 15-minute meetings for my purpose. And instead, I just tried to listen, tried to hear what they were working on, what they really cared about. So I listened to them, their companies, their businesses, what mattered to them. I gave them feedback where I could, but really it was 15 minutes of listening. And like I already said, I knew walking out of there that I wasn't going to get any work. I was okay with that, because pitching a business to someone I knew nothing about for 15 minutes is the opposite of what I care about. And I realized that I was sitting in a room designed for certainty, and I wanted to choose curiosity instead, because what came out of it was 3 of the most important words that I need to use in my vocabulary. And those 3 words are this: tell me more. Those are 3 of the most important words in my vocabulary. Tell me more. It's not a question you ask to be polite. It's an opening. It's a place where I shut my mouth and I let them tell me about them. It's where they tell me what matters to them. It's where they get to unpack what they're passionate about. It's the moment where I get to see it, hopefully the way they see it. And I'm going to be real honest, it's really hard, because I am full of opinions. I'm full of thoughts. I'm full of ideas. I'm full of maybe outright arrogance. But when I say tell me more, it shifts the nature of the whole conversation, because my opinions are sometimes worth something. They are. My opinions are worth something. My insight is sometimes worth something, but they only earn their place after tell me more, never before. You hear that? They earn their place after tell me more. Nobody wants to be pitched. My kids don't want to be fixed. They want to be heard. My friends don't want to be fixed. They want to be heard. Companies don't want to be fixed. They want to be heard. In every situation, in every scenario of life, as best as I can tell it, people love to be heard. They love to be seen. They love to feel like they matter. I love it. I love to matter. And the place where we discover that, and the place where that shows up is in those little things like tell me more. And without care and intention, I don't know that I will ever say those 3 words. Those 3 words are not my automatic default setting. They are not my baseline of behavior. But once again, like I said earlier in this very episode, when I do that, the best version of me shows up. The best parent, the best friend, the best business person. Tell me more. A while back, a good friend of mine who I've known since the second grade sent me a text message. And that text message turned into a phone call, and very first words out of his mouth is, he said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I told him, answered all the questions, told him how I was doing. I have no shortage of words. Unpacked everything, told him about work, told him about family, told him about life, told him about all the things, and just spent 30 minutes, honestly, just talking about myself. Then I found out why he was texting me. The reason he was texting me is because he was bored. I said, "Why are you bored?" He said, "I'm in a hospital bed, recovering from chemotherapy." Man, did I feel terrible. I just spent 30 minutes talking about myself with a friend that I've known since second grade. And I find out after that long, selfish conversation of mine that he's recovering from chemotherapy. And it took 30 minutes to get around to that because I was so busy talking. I was sick to my stomach. I was guilty. I was ashamed. You can imagine all the emotions that come along with that. And here's the thing that I have to admit. My instinct at first wasn't to apologize. My first instinct was to explain to him why I talked so much. There's so much going on in life. There's so much to be excited about. I wanted to explain why I spent so much time talking. That's what I wanted to do, to justify why I was on such a rant that day. Even my apology wanted to be about me. Instead, I apologized. And he has no idea that even that internal struggle is happening, because those are all the things that are running inside of our heads as we're doing all of it. And the thing that I had to land back on was those three words. Tell me more. So I asked him. And I didn't get back those 30 minutes that I handled it poorly, but I got to have the rest of that conversation where he got to tell me more. You know what's kind of funny about all of it? In that apology with that friend that I've known for 40 plus years, the shift happened so effortlessly. I told him I was sorry and we were good. That's a good friend. And we got to get back to the thing that mattered most. But it's one more place where I was reminded about curiosity and not certainty. Certainty feels good. It's quiet. It's easy. It's easy to be certain. But curiosity is what keeps you in the room. And it keeps you in the room long enough to actually hear somebody else. And I'm going to admit, I'm usually pretty terrible at it, but I want to be better. And that conversation that I had with my friend is still sitting inside of me months later. Not because he's holding it, because he's already forgiven me. It's already done. But because I'm holding it. Because I still feel the weight of the place where I was certain instead of curious. Tell me more isn't just a question. It's the fight against everything in me that wants to talk about me first. Thanks for being here. See you next week.